Okay, so the Blazers traded Jrue to the Celtics, and as a Celtics fan, I got very excited. And then I saw Robert Williams moving, and the sentimental part of me had a moment. We'll get to the Celtics and all that. But first off, for the Blazers, I mean, they also got Malcolm Brogdon. They got a 2024 Golden State first, which is probably going to, be in the 20s, most likely. A 2029 unprotected first, so the Celtics have now moved a distant first for Derek White, as well as now unprotected to the Blazers. And okay, so for Portland, it was DeAndre Ayton, the Bucks pick swaps, the Bucks unprotected in 2029, and then these two picks here. And they're probably going to look to trade Malcolm Brogdon too, because it does seem like there's still a lot of rumors with him and the Clippers, which, I mean, that is one thing. I kind of would have imagined if Brogdon was moving that he would then end up on the Clippers, but maybe there were just too many moving parts, whatever. But I would imagine Brogdon is going to get moved at some point for them. As far as what Robert Williams can bring to the Blazers, I mean, we'll see what the lineup's like. I'm imagining he's going to come off the bench. We will see if Chauncey attempts some like Ayton, Rob, Will stuff out there together. But of course, Rob's best value defensively has always been as a help defender, where you can put him on just kind of a blah shooter, allow him to be a little more of a roamer on defense. And I mean, when he's right, it can be devastating what he can do as a weak side guy and all that, right? If they are asking him to back up Ayton, which I'm kind of guessing is what's going to happen, I mean, we'll have to see how the lineups work out. But I mean, a Scoot Henderson, Robert Williams pick and roll, that sounds exciting, or Anthony Simons as well, just the lobs that can result from just those pairings. And Rob has always been kind of a quietly good passer. Like, the Celtics didn't really use him as a hub that often, but when he had opportunities, he was able to do a little bit more than just your routine passes on the perimeter. We'll see if he gets that sort of opportunity in Portland. I think they're going to be a fun team, and there you go. Jrue never played for him, like we kind of all expected. Okay, for the Celtics, Brad Stevens must have really wanted Jrue because he traded two good players and two picks for him. And I will give Rob his own moment a little later into the video, but as far as the Brogdon-Jrue thing first, like, yes, Brogdon was pretty important for the Celtics last year, extra ball handler, extra shot creator. I think he was like third on the team in usage, even though he was coming off the bench. Like, when Brogdon was in the game, he was going to cook, right? I mean, listen, man, obviously I'm going to talk about Jrue Holiday's defense in this video, but offensively speaking, he's just a good overall dude, man. Like, you're talking about a catch-and-shoot guy, because his three ball has just been legit for years now at this point. He can run pick and roll. He has had a little bit more of a pull-up jumper than I think it often gets talked about. I do know people are going to talk about his shooting splits in the playoffs, and okay, yeah, his shot selection in the postseason was sometimes just kind of rough, I'll give you that. But he's probably going to be the fourth option on this team, behind Tatum, Jalen, and Porzingis. I mean, he can space the floor out for Tatum and Jalen and Porzingis if he's got it in the post or whatever. He can also run screens with Porzingis, and I think that just having another option for that sort of thing is good. Jrue Holiday and Derek White, that is about as good of a set of perimeter defensive players as you could ask for. Granted, the other one was Derek White and Marcus Smart. And, okay, I mean, look, for all the things you could talk about with them losing Smart in the Porzingis trade, and, I mean, obviously they gained things with the Porzingis swap, but, perimeter defense, obviously. Marcus's switchability, the fact that he could guard guys bigger than him as well. But obviously just the point of attack defense, and I mean, with Damian Lillard now on the Bucks, having another one of those guys would be nice. And as we all know, Jrue is one of the best in the league at all of that, as you may hear my phone going off with notifications from Twitter. And of course, as a passer, Jrue is really good. And I do think that Jrue is a little better of a table setter on offense, if you will, than Brogdon is. I mean, did Brogdon get his cooking on at times for the Celtics last year coming off the bench? Yes, definitely. Now, as far as trading the 2029 first, I mean, it's the type of thing that in the moment you're going to be like, it's whatever. Like, eventually that's going to matter in 6 years. So there you go. But obviously the title window's right now for this team. I would guess the starting five now is Jrue, Derek White, Tatum, Jalen, Porzingis, and you allow Horford to come off the bench, which I think is right for Al. I mean, just given his age, he's still great for you. I mean, he's still going to be making his catch-and-shoot threes, I imagine, and then defensively, he's still going to be solid as ever. And he's still going to play a lot of minutes, and he's probably still going to end up starting when guys are out or whatever, and they'll just shuffle the lineups around however they need to. Like, Al is still going to be a huge part of this team, and I could even see him still starting. Like, if you end up in a playoff series against the Sixers, and it's just like, okay, Al, you're on full-time Embiid duty, sure. But as far as regular season, game to game, I would guess Al comes off the bench now. So we'll see there, how Mazzulla does the lineups. But I'm also thinking about, if they're going to be going to more of a drop defense, at least with like their big guys and stuff, like with Porzingis and Horford, because Mazzulla was already tinkering with drop a little bit more last season. I mean, Jrue, we all know he can fight around screens. I mean, he was doing that with the Bucks system. Derek White is also a fantastic screen navigator. As far as Tatum and Jalen, I mean, both of them, Jalen's a better on-ball defender than he is team defender. Tatum, I mean, he's just kind of good at everything on defense. Let's get to Time Lord now, trading Robert Williams. So, of course, with Rob, the big thing was his health, and wondering if you were going to see the 100% version of him and how often you were going to see it. But for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, whenever the X Factor conversation came up with the Celtics, while there were a lot of viable answers, I always went with Robert Williams because I just thought his downhill presence, just on rolls to the basket, him being in the dunker spot, being a lob threat, and giving them an extra just presence around the basket to give them a couple extra shots around the rim as opposed to a lot of the time where it would be a three-pointer. I just thought that was really valuable for them on offense. I mean, obviously, you still have your Tatum and Jalen drives and all that. I get that. And then, of course, on defense, we know that Rob, his help defense was just insane. When he was able to guard somebody that he could help off of. And, I mean, yes, they did swap one very good defensive player who's not always healthy for another very good defensive player. But you did still shift just the size of the team. You got smaller with this move, even if you definitely beefed up your perimeter defense. And so I do wonder if there will be, another big they got to go get or whatever. I mean, Luke Cornett's on the roster, and I mean, the front court of Horford and Porzingis is still pretty damn good on defense. And of course, you could have Al come off the bench, and you could go Jrue, Derek White, Tatum, Jalen, Porzingis, or Horford in that spot,